came in celebration, wrapped in joy, bright, soft, sweet. The enemy no one feared, that gave its children first, with songs, with smiles. And the children never stood a chance. Sugar was not the end, but it was the beginning. The silence before the sickness, the needle hidden in frosting. They fed it to their brains, to their sadness, to their boredom, and called it comfort. When their bodies cried out, they answered with pills, not questions, not change, just silence. Some knew, they warned, they whispered. But the whisper was no match for flavour, for profit, for addiction dressed as love. This is where the war began, not with bombs, not with fire, but with cupcakes. Sugar was the first weapon, and they pulled the trigger with a smile. They lived through windows that didn't open. They watched the world shrink into a glowing glass and called it progress. And every hand held a portal, every eye forgot how to rest. They fought in comments, laughed in filters, judged with likes, and all the while the rivers dried, the bees vanished, and the soil turned to dust. They scrolled through extinction, one finger flick at a time. They were more connected than ever, and more alone than they had ever been. They filmed their food, but forgot how to grow it. They had voices, but rarely listened. When the skies turned strange, they turned up the brightness. No one noticed the silence, not until it was louder than the screens. They always feared the big one, the flash, the fire, the final boom. But that's not how it happened. The war wasn't one war, it was many. Slow, invisible, inside the bodies, between their thoughts, the silence between each bite. The war was waged in kitchens, in factories, in quiet homes with full fridges and starving souls. Bombs fell, yes, but so did blood sugar, so did connection, and so did trust. They fought each other online, and themselves in the mirror. They weaponized food, and screens, and loneliness. Some died from bullets, most from habits. They never raised the flag, just blood pressure, no victory, no surrender, just surrendering. The war was never declared, it was accepted. They didn't fall by accident, they were led, not by tyrants, not with swords, but with suits, with branding, with charm. The ones who smiled into cameras, who shook hands and made promises. They sold sickness in boxes, labelled it, balanced. They funded silence. And when the people cried for truth, they gave them pills. There were warnings, but they were buried beneath the slogans. Low fat, safe, normal. They trusted the ones who profited from their decline. Not all leaders wore medals. Some wore lab coats. Others wore marketing. When the world began to shake, they told the people to buy more, consume, obey, and smile. Not all of them forgot. Some woke up. They stepped away from the noise, turned off the glow. They planted things, picked up the children, breathed differently. They walked at sunrise, cooked with hands, listened again. They remembered water, fire, silence, and for a moment the earth softened. But the storm had already come. Too much had burned. Too many were still asleep. And the ones who remembered couldn't carry the rest. They didn't build cities, just gardens, just space to feel. And though the end still came, they met it standing, alive, awake, human. Didn't end in fire or ice or glory. It ended in forgetting. They forgot how to move, how to grow, how to rest. They forgot the difference between full and fed, between knowing and understanding, between living and simply not dying. They had every chance, but the noise was louder than the warnings, and the comfort was stronger than the courage. They laughed through the collapse, bragged through the sickness, and by the time they saw it, there was no one left to tell. No great disaster, no final speech. Just one by one they vanished,